After the launch of the Z6III, technically the ZF is now behind. I mean, it was never supposed to, I think, compete with something like the Z6III, but it does come very close. As a camera, this is made for photography more than anything. It can do very credible kind of video. In fact, as good as the A7 IV and the R6 too. So it's a very credible video camera, but I think it is a photo primary camera. But even as a photo camera, it has been surpassed by the Z6III because how fast the Z6III shoots. I have the Z8, which is a joy to work with when I'm shooting photos. The grip is wonderful and it can carry a lot of weight. You put a large lens on it, the Z8 is beautiful to work with. That is not the case with the ZF. I am currently using the 28 2.8, a beautiful little lens. So mostly, I would say look at the primes as a companion, as companions with the ZF. You don't get the bird or eye autofocus, which I'm sure the Z6 will get in future, and the Z8 has it. I don't know if the ZF actually can carry so many more new upgrades that the Z6 will probably be able to implement because it's got a faster reading sensor. In many ways, with $500 more, you get so much more with the Z6 III. And when I have the Z6 III, the Z8, the Z30 and the ZF, I often think, do I actually need the ZF? But I don't think the decision is actually that simple. I don't think it is only about the brute capability of the camera. There are other things involved. When I bought the camera, I of course looked at what it can do in terms of what kind of technology it offers me, what kind of specifications and features it offers me. Have those things become irrelevant to me? Probably not. I just bought it, 8 months back. The other question is, does it have a unique use case? For example, do I want to take this camera to a place where I probably wouldn't take my Z8? So does it have a unique use case that makes this camera different? So I'll have that option. The third question, which to me is probably the most important, is does it put me in a different mindset? I talk about it because this camera does. The Fuji X-T5 and the ZF does put me in a more relaxed mindset. It puts people around me in a different mindset. This is like the use end, the real world end of this camera. Here I'm not just discussing whether this camera is good enough for me on a piece of paper or an Excel sheet. Here I'm discussing how do I really use this camera? And that's where things get a little interesting and complicated. Let me ask you a question. Has anyone ever come to you and asked you, what the fuck are you shooting? Like, what's here? Are you a journalist? Are you from the police? They ask me, are you from the police? The beauty of small ordinary things is something that I wake up to at times. I think it depends. Maybe it starts with the mind and then I choose my camera, or it begins with the camera I choose. But either ways, the ZF has a role to play there because I start to see things differently. I notice the small things, the quaint things, the easy to miss little beautiful things. When I'm shooting on the ZF, I'm not looking for the grand shots, the most amazing where people go, oh, this is like a once in a lifetime shot. I'm not looking to create once in a lifetime kind of pictures or videos with a ZF. And that in turn frees me. That makes me feel as if I can just let myself be. I can just shoot what I like to shoot. And maybe, just maybe, something really, really interesting will come out of that attitude. So, the mood of the ZF is so different that I don't care about selling it. The mood of the ZF. By that I mean, it just is such a different feeling camera. And if I want something like this, I have to go to Fuji or that very strange Panasonic S9 or some old Micro Four Thirds camera or film camera. And there are compromises in all of those options. In fact, ZF is that sweet point where I don't have to compromise on the sensor size, on the autofocus, on the color, on the weather sealing. It's just beautiful. I also feel that, this is a camera that I can go on a journey with. As I grow with my photography, with my art, more and more and more I spend time. This is a camera that is waiting to be revealed. I mean, honestly, I feel I have only scratched the surface of what the ZF can do. The fact that I shift between black and white and color so easily, it changes so much. Honestly, I actually miss out on less shots because some scenes just work in black and white. Some scene requires color, and for me to quickly switch between that, it just simplified. The ZF reminds you that you look at your photography from a color angle and from a black and white angle. So that's a completely two different ways to look at the world, and the ZF give me access to that. Just a flick of a button. Build quality is beautiful. It feels so metallic. And like I was saying, as I spend more and more time, I understand that this camera is made to grow old with me. It is made for a second life. When I say that I haven't even scratched the surface of this camera, I literally mean that, because once you scratch the surface of these dials, what this camera will reveal is actually the beautiful brass dials on this camera, and that brass will shine through, that beauty will shine through. And I think when that happens, I would have probably reached a different stage of my photography. That will probably take 3 years, 5 years, depending on at the rate at which I shoot and use this camera. But clearly, Nikon has meant the ZF to be a keeper as a companionship camera, as something that goes with you almost everywhere, and it can go with you even on a professional shoot, where there are those moments when you do maybe BTS, maybe do a few things that are not done for the client but for yourself. So yeah, in short, it is not as good as the Z8, not as fast as the Z6III, but it has its own place. And that's all I needed to realize, because in the last few days, that's a realization I've come to. I asked myself this question: do I need the ZF now that I have the Z6III, the Z30, and the Z8, the Z30 and the Z8? The answer is yeah, because it's a different camera. And as for the lenses, the other things that I could have bought by selling this camera, I think I should just wait, earn that money, and then put that money in the things that I think will take me forward in terms of new lenses, new other things. I love it. It's a beautiful cafe called Coromandel Cafe. Yeah, this is the second day here in Pondicherry. Actually, this is the third day here in Pondicherry, and we're back to this cafe. Wonderful Indian food with French twist and French food with Indian twist. Loving it here. I'm going to keep the ZF. And this is going to be that one camera that I'll not upgrade from, because I'm not being so specs conscious here. Because you know what? 3 years from now, the Z6III can be outdone by another camera that has more stuff to it. And because I look at the Z6III as a work camera, I might feel that I want to upgrade from that. The ZF is not about the specs. All that has got great specs, it is not about the specs. It's about all those other things that I've started talking about in the later part of this video. So let me know what you think. I'm very curious to hear what you have to say about this. Do you own a ZF? Do you think you want to go for one? I think the colors are look, the files are absolutely beautiful. The files are definitely, of all the three cameras, the Z8, the Z6III and the ZF, I actually like the raw files of the ZF the most by far. And then after that, I like the Z9. So ZF, Z9, Z8, Z6III. Well, Z6III and Z8 at the same place. Yeah, so that's where I am. I'm going to subscribe to the channel. I'm going to see you soon with another one.